Thank you so much. My name is Gene Wu. I'm a simple state rep from Houston. I represent House District 137, which is the southwest part of Houston, which is a largely immigrant community. And I'm also, I just happen to be the minority leader in the Texas House. Last Monday, my friend Nicole Collier looked me straight in the eyes and just said, "I don't want to do this alone. Would you stay with me?" And I was kind of taken aback because we had just gotten through what it was probably one of the most brutal legislative sessions that we've had in a long, long time. We got back from a 2-week quorum break where we left our families, we left our jobs, and we decamped and went to Illinois, went to California, went to New York, went to all over the place. And during that time, oh God, what have they done? They tried to send the FBI after us. They doxed our homes. They sent rogue vigilantes after us. They put DPS troopers in front of our houses. They went after people who were in hospitals. They filed frivolous lawsuit after frivolous lawsuit to try to get us unseated. We had the deal of the rogue sheriff. They were bomb threats. We got kicked out of hotels for the bomb threats, not for other stuff. And we had just come back, and my wife had taken a bus 3 hours up to Austin so that she could pick me up and take me home and see my kids for the first time in a while. And all we had to do was come in, sign this permission slip, and accept a police escort, accept a state police officer to monitor and guard us and watch us and chaperone us 24 hours a day. And I didn't think much of it because I was so tired and I so desperately wanted to see my family. But when Nicole looked me in the eyes and said, "Would you stay with me? I don't think I can do this alone," I could only respond with one answer: yes. And it was hard to do because I had to call my wife then and tell her that she had to get back on the bus and go back to Houston by herself. And that was hard. That was really hard to do, but it was something that was really necessary. And for the next 72 hours, I was no longer minority leader. I wasn't even state rep anymore. I was Nicole Collier's personal assistant, her staffer, her production assistant, her nutritionalist. I thought I was prepared to deal with it because I have 2 young boys, but you do not understand like the concept of chasing after an adult woman, begging her to please drink water. And to remind her, this is the 4th time I've reheated your oatmeal, please eat it. But here's the thing, she did hours and hours and hours of interviews, interview after interview after interview. I mean, like, I was tired just watching her. But what people didn't see was there was a lot of people behind her who helped out, including myself, because staff weren't allowed onto the House floor then. And it just reminded me of my time with Chair Martin. Because that conversation where Nicole looked me in the eyes and asked me to help her, I had that same conversation with Chair Martin. And in fact, I know exactly where I was the moment I made that ask, because I had been dreading this phone call for weeks. But I knew this is something that we had to have if we were to make this successful. We needed the DNC support. We needed Chair Martin's support. And I remember exactly where I was because for whatever reason, I was doing a tour down in South Texas in the RGV, and I was actually standing at the border wall. I was standing at the Texas-Mexico border wall, having this very surreal conversation with the chair of the DNC, talking about how do we save democracy? How do we save our nation? And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of a nervous, awkward person to begin with. And so these conversations, these phone calls never, they're always kind of like, I'm just stammering my way through the call. And so I finally get to my first ask. I'm like, oh, okay, would you do this for us? And he just said, yes, we'll take care of it. I'm like, oh, that was easy? And so I said, well, look, here's what our members need. Here's what they're afraid of. Here's what we think will really help. And item after item, Chair Martin just said, yes, 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 right? And that's when I knew it was not just Minnesota nice. That this was somebody who genuinely understood the importance of what we were doing at that moment and what it meant for the rest of the country. That was felt. And throughout the course of our quorum break, in the 2 weeks that we were in Austin, in the time that we came back, Chair Martin, DNC made sure we had over 250,000 text messages go out to members' districts to make sure that their voters knew what they were doing and why it was so important. We had 30,000 volunteers make phone call to persuadable voters to say, see, this is what Democrats do. This is how Democrats are fighting for you to make sure that you are represented and your democracy is protected. He made Chair Martin himself personally convened organizations, convened coalitions of our allies, of our groups that supported us all around the nation to make sure that everyone was on the same page, to make sure we were talking about it in the same way, to make sure that whatever we do, that the messaging to the public was that Democrats were fighting corruption everywhere, right? And most importantly, not only was Chair Martin there, physically on the ground with us before we started, and on the ground with us the moment we were in Illinois, but he helped us coordinate a day of action, something our nation has not seen in a long time. Over 100 major cities in America got together and said no. They said, we have had enough, just like Nicole Collier. We have had enough of this. We are tired of it. We will stand for it no more. And here's the thing. If I and others did not help Nicole Collier be in the background and take care of all those things, would she still have done it? Probably. But would have her impact on our society, would her message have not been as strong, not gotten out there as much, and not spoken to as many people? Yeah. I don't think it would have. Our quorum break, would we have done the quorum break without the help of the DNC, without the help of Chair Martin? We might have. We probably would have. But would we have been able to accomplish all of our goals, including getting California to take the step up, to become the safety net for the country? Right? Would we have gotten New York and Illinois and Maryland to all start talking about this seriously, to take the idea that we have to fight fire with fire seriously? Right? Probably not. And so this is the lesson that I have from all of this. This is my lesson. I know as Democratic leaders, we are all asked right now, at this moment in time, we're being asked by our followers, we're asked by our supporters, we're asked by our donors, we're asked by our advocates, what are you doing? What are you going to do to resist? What are you going to do to stand up? What are you going to do to fight for our nation? And what we have to tell them is we're going to do everything. We're going to do everything that we can, because it doesn't have to just come from us. It can come from others. It can come from places that we were not expecting, like Representative Nicole Collier. But the fact that those acts of resistance exist also means that we have to be ready to support them. To not say, like, we are not the stars here. We are going to make sure that their message and their story and what they're trying to do is amplified and goes out to the public and sparks the hearts of Americans. That's what we need to do. And that's what we hope we keep doing Chair Martin, on behalf of the state of Texas, on behalf of House Democrats in Texas, thank you so much for your support to the DNC, to everybody here who supported us. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And I'm going to say this. What we are doing is igniting the hearts of Americans to remind them that what makes America great is us. It is Americans who make America great, and we will go back to that. We will go back to America that we believe in, America that works for people who work hard and follow the rules. Democrats are going to fight for Americans.
At the Summer Democratic National Convention meeting on Monday, Texas State Representative Gene Wu shared an emotional account of the challenges faced by his colleague Nicole Collier and the broader fight over Texas redistricting. Wu described how Collier turned to him after a grueling legislative session and asked for his support, telling him she could not face the ordeal alone. At that moment, Wu chose to stay by her side, even though it meant sending his wife home alone after she had traveled hours to see him. For the next 3 days, Wu became Collier's personal assistant, reheating meals, urging her to drink water, and making sure she had the strength to keep up with the non-stop interviews and media attention that came her way. He recalled how difficult the weeks had been for Texas Democrats who broke quorum and left the state to oppose controversial legislation tied to redistricting. In that time, they were targeted by lawsuits, harassed by law enforcement, threatened with bomb scares, and forced to live under constant surveillance. Wu stressed that the pressure was immense, but Collier's determination to keep going inspired him and many others. Wu also spoke about the importance of national support. He recounted his phone call with Democratic National Committee Chair Martin, who quickly agreed to provide the resources they needed. Through the DNC's backing, over 250,000 text messages were sent to voters, more than 30,000 phone calls were made to constituents, and coalitions across the country were mobilized. The effort culminated in a nationwide day of action, with over 100 cities speaking out in unison against corruption and political overreach. Wu acknowledged that while leaders like Collier carried the visible burden, their ability to continue depended on the people standing quietly behind them. Without that support, he said, the strength of her message would have been diminished. He closed by reminding Democrats that the fight for democracy does not rest on a single individual. It requires everyone, lawmakers, activists, volunteers, and citizens, to amplify one another's voices and keep pushing forward. What happened in Texas, Wu said, was a reminder that Americans themselves are the ones who make the country strong, and that Democrats remain committed to defending that principle.